Yeah, here we go. We're live. All right, look at that. Let's see. Waiting for setup by Marshall. I'm not quite sure. What is? I should be live now. Yeah, I'm live. Okay. I'm not seeing any video, but that's all right. Hopefully I'm live, and if I'm not, and you just have a blank picture, that's okay. Actually, it's not okay because that's not what I told it to do. So today we're working on a Ibanez Geo, and so what I've done on this instrument is came in without a nut, and my goodness, I have buffalo horn nuts. They're not pre-cut, they're just chunks of buffalo horn that I get from farmers here in our community, and I'm able to shape and form a nut and make them look real nice. And I know I'm getting a little away from the microphone, but I thought I would show you what one looks like in its rough form. Where are you? Oh, give me a second here. Oh, there they are. So this one, just to kind of show the work that goes into this, started out looking like this. So I took a piece of buffalo horn. This is buffalo horn, and it's one of the best substances in the known universe to use for a nut or a saddle, especially one that needs to be dark. This one was originally, I'm assuming, probably plastic. And the guy was changing his strings and he broke the corner off of this. And that happens. It's a very, very common injury to guitars, whether they be acoustic or electric. So I've done a lot of work on this already, obviously, because I had to sand it down and use a belt sander and all that stuff, and then I had to set the string spacing. Now, how would you do that? Well, you use one of these guys. This is one of the best tools I've ever had, and if I put that on there, you'll notice that each of those lines lines up perfectly with where the strings pass through the nut. That's how the proper way. There are ways to measure it, of course, but I use this tool just so that I know I'm exactly right. Kind of giving you a little heads up on hello Camellia, hello Ert. Just give Ert a good old pet for me. So that's how I go about it. And then what I do is I take this tool, which is a Japanese saw, is what it's known as in my world, flat saw, whatever, and I take my thumbnail and put it right next to that mark so that I'm absolutely accurate, and then I just score at each one of my marks. I use a light pencil to mark them, and I scratch the top of this to get my starting point. And then I'm able to use my nut files to file it down. And of course I've got to get the height right, and I can't leave sharp corners on this, and we'll take care of all of that. So the title of this, hey man, the title of this obviously is first fret action, which means the distance you have to push down on a string to fret a note here on the first fret, which is a very important part of the intonation of an instrument and the string action. When you adjust the height of these, or the depth of these slots, you know, it makes you not have to work so hard to fret a note here. And also, if you can get it as a reasonable amount, and you measure these, they want 16 thousandths. I go lower than that. I'm around 12 thousandths on these. If you're up too high, if you push down on that note, that first note is out of tune considerably. Now, the string action on this is not set up, but we'll put the old tuner on here and we'll see. So this thing held tune overnight. I haven't touched it yet today, and we'll fret this F note. So it's slightly sharp, but I have not done the intonation on this thing yet. So one other thing I noticed on this guitar is that we've got to put a shim in the neck. The string action is way too high up here, and let me measure it. We're gonna, yeah, it's 8/64, almost 9, and 6/64 on the treble E string. So we've got to tilt this neck forward, because if I lower these strings down using the saddles here, the screws are going to be sticking up out of these saddles, and for chug life, you're going to be hitting your hand on those screws, which I do not accept. That's not cool. So the best thing to do right now is to put a shim in this neck and tilt the neck down a little bit. We'll shim it right here. It'll go downhill, and that will lower the string action here, right? Physics kind of take over at that point. So what we're gonna do?
How much is something like that? This one's on sale. $275.
I gotta get my shim material out.
And so, but you get into like
I gotta delete it.
stuff, you know.
Actually,
Like these and these, and then you start getting into another thing.
I might have used up.
Oh yeah, I've been looking online out of them.
I think I used up the last of my shim material. Give me a second. I'm gonna go grab some.
Go up in the ballpark. Yeah, they start getting up closer to 4 all of a sudden. Especially like these, the ones with the wireless, the Wi-Fi with the wireless, Apple and Android. Nice decks, no doubt about it.
Yeah. But like you said, for me, it's just going to be figuring out how to get it in there.
So again, never throw anything away. So I have these old pick guards that have come in on hundreds, if not thousands, of acoustic guitars. Some of them get sold with the guitars. They want a pick guard on them. Some of them don't. The guitars that we stock here do not, from the factory, have pick guards installed. So I'm going to use a good old-fashioned pair of scissors. One of the greatest tools in guitar repair ever. I'm going to cut a little bit of this off so that my shim is wide enough. And we're not going to make it real wide. We're going to go about this width. And I'm not being super accurate here. Alright, okay, so there's that. And we'll cut one of these sides off straight. And there is some sticky material on the bottom of this. We'll cut this off. We'll get there. We're getting there. This is not what I intended to do this morning, but it's something that I have to do on this guitar. So we're going to take the neck off of the guitar. And don't use power tools on guitars, right? You know my rule. It's not a good idea. And don't bother taking the strings off of the guitar when you do this. It's totally unnecessary. It's a complete waste of time. So you pull the neck off of the guitar, and we'll set this thing down like this. I will set the neck aside on a nice soft surface so that I don't scratch it up, and we better turn the tuner off or the battery will go dead. Now these strings will be completely tangled up in here, so I'm going to cut this to the right width. Oop, got a little crooked there, and make sure that fits in there. Okay, now I need to take a little corner off of this side for the rounded corners of this, and get that like that. And then we're going to take the protective covering off of this because we don't want that coming loose in there and causing the shim thickness to change. And then we'll take the stuff sticks on your fingers like it's tough. And then we'll take the back layer off of this so that it will stick in position and be removable at the same time. But it'll help this thing stay put when we're putting the guitar back together. And we'll drop this in here. Push it right up to where it's nice and even. Look at that. It's almost like I've done this a couple times, right? Now the screws are out of the way. I've got a nice little thin shim in here. And let me tell you how thick this shim is. And we'll see what the big difference is. You saw how tall the string are. I measured it. It was 8/64 on the low E and 6/64 on the treble E. This is, well, we'll do thousandths of an inch. So let's do inches, and we'll zero it out. Come on. So now we'll zero, right? And then we'll tell you. So this shim, it's a little bit thinner than this. It's 23 thousandths of an inch. So it's about 20 thousandths of an inch. Okay, that's what that pick guard is. 20 thousandths of an inch. All right, so we've got that done. So now it's time to put the old neck back on this thing. So we've got to get this neck back on here, and we'll put it in place. And these strings will go everywhere but where they're supposed to go, which is just normal for working on guitars. Strings don't like to go where they're supposed to, of course. Alright, there we go. So I'm putting a little bit of tension on this so that the strings stay put. And alright, so there, we've got the neck all put back into place. You can see that I've gotten the strings, and it's just kind of hanging off these strings, right? Okay, now we'll flip the guitar back over and put the screws back in it. So I'm going to lay this down, push it nice and flat, and then where'd my screws go? What did I do with my screws that I pulled out of here? Oh, they're in there already. Look at that. And you don't want to reef these down too tight. I'm pushing very snugly to put some pressure on this neck. Alright, okay. And I'm not going too tight with my drill. There we go. I have my clutch set at 11. There we go. Okay, so now I've got that shim in there, and we can look at the measurement of our string height, and we're going to check it at the 12th fret on this guitar, and I can tell that it's still, well, it's at 5/64 on the bass E string, and we're at where are we at? 4/64 on the treble E string, and I think that's going to be a pretty good height to lower these strings and get them. So now these screws, again, the whole point in doing this is not to check the tone mess up the tone on the guitar. People say that you put a shim in the neck and it changes the tone of the guitar. Show me a measurement. Alright, so let's lower the string action. We're going to get the string action just right. And the last thing we do is our first fret action when we're setting up a guitar. Then we'll check it. And so let's see, now we are at like 4.5/64, and these string action was set perfectly flat. You don't want to have your string action perfectly flat. You want to follow the neck radius with your string action. So that's 4.5. This one's 4.5. This one's 3. Boy, that just doesn't seem right. Okay, 3.5. Let me check that. That's 4.5. I want to go down on the D string just a little bit. We're going to do about 1/8 of a turn on both of these because the saddles are nice and level. Let's see. And that's good. Now we're 3.5, and now we're at 3.5, and now we are at 4. So we got to lower this treble E string. Now I don't worry so much about these set screws here, or the adjustment screws on the high E string, because your hand doesn't typically get down there and hit those. Right, so now we're at 3.5/64. Okay, so we've gotten that established. Now, having done that shim, what I want to do is check our neck radius, or our neck relief. So let's take a look here. My camera guy is keeping up. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday. Alright, so our neck relief is way too much. So we've got to flatten this neck out a little bit. So we're going to tighten the truss rod, and I'm going to go ahead, and we've got a 4mm, let me get this string out of the way. Got our 4mm adjustment screw. We're going to tighten it. Okay, so there was no tension on that. I remember when I did some work on it, I had to loosen it to get the neck to lay straight. So we're just going to give it a couple of small turns. Now I'm going to retune the guitar so that I've got the proper string tension. Having the string tension up too high is going to bend the neck a little bit further. We want to set the guitar up in the condition that it's going to be played. This is an Ibanez Geo, mind you. So not a terribly expensive guitar. Let's check our neck relief now. And the last thing you do is cut the strings off. If you cut them off before you're done, you will regret it, because you'll have to pull the strings off of the guitar. Okay, so we're getting awful close. I'm going to give it one tiny movement here. Just that little move, as you can see. Again, I'm putting that truss rod wrench in there, and I'm just one tiny little movement. Usually a tiny move on these truss rods will move a neck, especially on an Ibanez guitar. These guys, even on their cheapest instruments, there we go. Now we're talking. That's exactly like I like it. Okay, so there's that. Now we've adjusted the neck relief, so let's check our string action again. And we're a little bit too low, so I've already made a preemptive strike on the string action, and now the string action is, in straightening out that neck, I've changed the string action here, and it's too low. So what I'm going to do is and I know all of the saddles are nice and level, meaning level with the top of the guitar, so I'm going to do a half a turn on each screw, and that way I know I maintain this frets or the saddles being level. And we'll check this. This is measuring at 4.5. I'm going to go another quarter turn on each one of these, just a tiny bit, and let's see where we're at now. I'm liking that. Alright, so now we've got to bring up the A string. So we're going to go a half a turn. Actually, this one has to come up a little bit more, so I'm going to go 3/4 of a turn. And I'm just kind of using the L shape of that to get this just right. And we got to go about a quarter turn more on each one of these. And I can see that, yeah, they look really nice. Let's see. I'm liking that. Now we need to bring this one up. And I graduate it, so we go 4.5, 4.5. This one's going to be at 4/64 of an inch. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit. Check. And also, while I'm making these adjustments, I'm checking to make sure that saddle is sitting level. So we're still a little bit low. We're going to go about almost a half a turn. There we go, almost a half a turn. And you want to sneak up on it. So we are right at 4/64. And on the G string, we're going to go just barely 4/64. We're a little bit low again, so we're tightening this up. Again, there's an order of operations that you should do on this. Now, I did make the string action adjustment a little bit too soon. I should have waited to do that, but that's all right. There we go. We're getting close. Little tiny moves is all you need. 3.5. And we're very close on the B string. We're going to bring that up just a hair. Small movements. And again, check and make sure your saddles are sitting level. Okay, I want to bring that up just another little nudge here. And now we're talking. And we're right at 3/64 on the treble E string. And now the string tension is a little bit tighter here. Rune, hello, man. In Okay, so let's tune the guitar back up. I don't think I've stretched these strings yet. These are Ernie Ball Slinky, Super Slinkies. You got to listen to the guy tune the guitar. All right, now let's talk about tuning a guitar and the order in which you should tune it. Now you notice I'm just kind of going up and down. Now Eric Johnson has a very strong statement about that. Now Eric Johnson, one of the greats, is a fantastic, beautiful guitar player. I don't listen to his music a lot because it doesn't appeal to me very much, but he tunes those three and then he tunes those three. That's fine. I've been tuning them in that direction and that direction most of my life, and once in a while I'll do it at a different order. And you can also use harmonics, right? It's a good way to tune. You kind of split the difference with respect to the intonation of the guitar. But right now we got the string action really good. So let's check our first fret action. We'll just take a look at it. And I'm going to use a 12/64. Oop. You can hear that string is hitting. All right. Now, these ones should fret a note at the first fret.
Oh,
You see it raises that note.
Hey, this is Good Stereo Music. Sorry I missed your call. I was outside helping a gentleman with the pickup. What do you got going on?
Sorry guys, we're doing some business here, so you're gonna hear somebody working on something here.
Oh, so you need a little help setting it back up?
There we go.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, Chris will be here today after 12.
Okay, so now we've got that all done. So the first fret action is looking good. I did a good job yesterday cutting those slots, and I did take some time to get them right. So now what we'll do is the intonation on the instrument, and then we will recheck our first fret action, because we know our string action's right, our neck relief is right, and our string height is right. So now let's do the intonation on this. So we need a guitar cable. We'll plug this thing in, and we'll do it like everybody says to do it. Oops, I'm sorry, my camera guy is not following me properly. So we're going to plug the good old-fashioned strobe tuner in. And I know that a lot of guys have a lot of different ways to do some of this stuff, and I'm always interested to hear your thoughts on setting up a guitar and your process. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily, oh shoot, I made it here with no picks in my pocket. Holy smokes, I left them all on my bench last night, my live stream. And thanks y'all for dropping in last night. The FALCRO, what's happening? Gibson Fender book. Yeah, I don't read books. Textbooks are, a lot of times are wrong, as we all know, but also, I've been doing this so long that I'm not really necessarily going to change much, but you know, that's not to say that books can't be helpful to someone who hasn't been doing this for a long time. There definitely are some great information. A lot of it's correct, but some of it, I don't know. So give me just a moment. I got to go grab a guitar pick. I think I've got one. Oh no, really? I don't have a guitar pick laying around. Good grief. Okay, give me a second. So we're going to use a fancy pick, Martin Heavy, right? Okay. So let's check our intonation here and see what we got for intonation. I'll have this tuner up here. Hopefully you can see it clearly, upside down of course, but and I'm going to go ahead and stretch these strings. I haven't stretched them yet. Should have done that. Falcro, hope you're doing well today, man. And I have also on the nut, I think the nut's going to be in pretty good shape, just given the work that I did yesterday on this. Feel free to put a comment in the, not necessarily in the chat, but on the in the comment section of the video if you see something you disagree with. And it's funny how the keyboard warriors come out. The keyboard ninjas, these real tough dudes and wimp ladies who want to insult somebody on their work. If you don't have something nice to say, just don't say anything. I had a guy yesterday tell me that I ruined an amplifier on a video I did about 5 years ago. And what the guy didn't obviously doesn't know anything about amplifiers. It was just probably some kid or some robot or something that was just trying to be rude and get a rise out of somebody, you know, or make me upset because somebody I don't know who probably has never worked on an amplifier themselves said something kind of sarcastic and trying to be rude or funny, whatever. My comment is always thanks for watching, right? Jeffrey, what's happening, brother? How we doing? Thanks for joining me today. I know this stuff gets kind of long and drawn out, but this is the stuff that your favorite channels do behind the scenes that you don't see. You don't see them, you know, because it's kind of long and drawn out. But the fortunate thing for me, this one machine head is not wanting to move that string. And that's one thing about less expensive guitars. In many cases, the machine heads are very unreliable with the amount that you turn the machine head and how much the pitch of the string changes. All right. So I'm going to start at the treble string just because I can. And get this as close as we can. I'm going to hit a, and then I'm going to fret the note. So I'm already noticing, and I like to be able to get a 3-fret bend. And there may be a tall fret on here, so I'm going to look this over. So I can tell that right now I've got the string action too low. So what I'm going to do to solve that, let's get the guitar up here. Here's what I'm going to do. I've gotten a little bit aggressive with getting really low string action on this guitar. I'm going to go ahead and turn each one of these screws on at least these first 2 strings a half a turn. So 1/2 a turn. I'm not measuring anything, obviously. So we go 1/2 a turn. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the B string. I'm going to go, actually this one I'm going to go a 1/4 turn. Now it is, okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to test to see if I can get a bend out of this instrument, and see if I've solved the problem. Now the string is going to be sharp. So we're still, I like to be able to get a full 1.5 steps. So I want to be able to bend the E string up to those notes, right? And that's nice and clean. But if I bend it, it starts to fret out. So again, I've gotten a little aggressive with my string action, which is fine. this is where the mojo of guitar work comes in. I'm going to go a quarter turn on these, another quarter turn, and let's see if we have solved our problem. Bring the string back into pitch. So if you're setting up your own guitar, this might be something that you'll consider if you have a bridge like this. Sometimes you can measure, but then you've got to put the mojo on it, and small movements, you want to, like Jerry Rosa says, sneak up on it. Alright, so let's check the B string. Now let's check our string height. I'm going to measure this. So we're at 3, below 3. So I'm going to raise this about a half a turn. The string action right now is way too low, to be honest. And I'm also going to raise this. Let's check our tuning again real quick. So I'm going to bring up the high E string, because from this B note, because everybody just plays in E, right? Before I get much further, let's this just came to mind. There could be a tall fret on this. Let me see. Ron, his book has info on all guitar. Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Guitar setup. So yeah, and I know there's a lot of different ways to do a lot of stuff, but you know, I've had such a successful business that, and I haven't had any trouble. So the way I'm doing things, I believe, is the best way for me to maintain my clients' faith and confidence in the work that I do. So I try not to to alter my methods very often at all. Yeah, okay, so we have really good level frets up here. So there's not a tall fret happening. Aside from this first, or the last fret, which I'm going to give it a little tap with a rubber mallet. Sorry if you couldn't see what I was doing there. I'm going to hit it. See if any guck came out of there. My favorite thing to do is hit a guitar with a hammer. Now let's check that string again, and just one little tap. I think we're pretty good. Let's again, I'm going to double check the string action here. Stuff moves as you start making adjustments to a guitar. Things move, so you can't always rely on, you measure it once, you measure it again in 5 or 10 minutes, and sometimes stuff has moved a little bit. So 3, 3.5. Let's see, 3.5, 3.5, and 4. So I believe that these strings are a little bit too close. So I'm going to go ahead and raise these a little bit further, which is great. At least I know I have room to move them, and I'm not running out of room here with the adjustment. And each time I turn one of these screws, it puts it lower in the saddle, which gives me the opportunity to keep the strings out of this guy's hand when he's chugging. Looking real good here. Let's retune. When you do that with your saddles, you're raising the pitch and tightening the tension on the string, which is creating a change in the neck relief. And we're talking tiny little bits, but it's enough that if you don't make an adjustment, plays really nicely. However, the treble E string is still having a little bit of a fretting out when I'm doing a 3rd fret bend. So again, I'm going to go a 1/4 turn on these, and I'm going to do the same thing on the B string because my measurement it's showing about 3/64 of an inch, and that's a little bit close. It can also make the string action just feel too low. Yes, there is such a thing as string action that's too low. Now, I don't play like this guy does, of course, but yeah, it feels really nice. Let me check out the comments here. See what folks are saying. Yeah. Okay, Varun, have a great day. Excellent, man. Thank you for stopping in today, and thanks for being there last night. And maybe it'd be cool if we could play some guitar together sometime. That'd be fun, man. So have a great day, and best wishes to your daughter. Let's see. Falcro. You're so kind. Yeah, my process. Well, that's cool. All right, so we've got our string action good. Now let's check our intonation. So again, I'm hoping that you can see that clearly. It looks like it's fairly clear. So the treble E string is a little bit sharp, so we will, don't do this with string tension on it. Okay, I'm listening. You could break a string, I know. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna bring that back just a little bit further. Oh, let's see. Okay, now that was a world record because I just draw. Is that
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to be done with this guitar before too much longer, so I could work on her guitar a little later on.
I seen it when, you should pull the strings off this, or?
Oh, yeah. It's going to need all new, and we got to do a setup on that thing.
It needs fret level.
Fret level?
Desperately. So we'll just,
okay.
Okay. Get her going.
I'm going to try and get,
I'm going to pull the strings off of it.
Perfect. We might, okay, yeah, that's cool. Which are there like really tall frets, or can you tell?
It's got one side's doing this, and the other side's doing. It's got a dog, so it's going to take a. Right. It's kind of like what you did on that that kit guitar.
Okay. Let's see.
We'll make it positive, and they should.
Andrick, oh my goodness, hey buddy. Long time no see. Everybody say hi to my Andrick is a former student of mine who broke my heart when he moved away. But he's in a new beautiful place in the world, and I hope he's doing well and still playing his guitar, I hope. Okay. I gotta stay busy. Let's see. So I might be out of a job. This intonation on this guitar is pretty close. Nothing that I'm seeing that I really have to move. So we're getting pretty close on this one to having it right. Okay, now I get to move one. So the D string is a little bit sharp, so we'll pull it back. Now, kind of an unwritten rule on doing intonation is that each string is the width of itself in front of the string above it. So your treble E string is like 9/1000ths of an inch closer to the nut than the B string, and the B string is 11/1000ths, whatever the gauge of strings that you're using. That's why when you change your string gauge, you absolutely should do an intonation setup on your instrument, because it is not going to be the same. Even if you go from 9s to 10s, you're going to have an intonation discrepancy. And I need to check out that book that Rune suggested. And you want to be really careful not to be bending strings out of pitch while you're doing the intonation. So you got to be as accurate as you can with you pushing down on the strings. Andrick, it's so good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. I hope you and your sis are doing good, and mama and dad. Interesting. Here we go. Oh, and one other thing is that it's also generally I was using the bridge pickup. It's a good idea to use the neck pickup on an electric guitar for doing intonation. At least on my tuner, it seems to be a bit more accurate. I think the position of the pickup on the guitar helps the tuner to hear it. So we're still sharp on that D string, so we're going to bring it back. And I'm going to make a little preemptive strike on the A and the E string, and we'll retune the guitar here in a moment. Let me tune it up back. And Andrick, dude, you'd be proud. I have a lot of guitar students right now, man, and I think that maybe one or two of them you may have helped inspire to come see me to learn to play. I don't know how many folks. I know there were a lot of people, you know, when we were using social media, and unfortunately I no longer use I no longer use Facebook. I won't support a company that thinks that theft, stealing my identity and my pictures and saying that you're me and calling that not against community guidelines. I'm sorry, theft is not okay in my world. But I no longer use Facebook, so I can't share my work and Fred and, you know, all the successes I've had with my students. But dude, I have a lot of guitar students right now, and some really good ones. My oldest student, he's missed a few lessons recently, but There we go. That D string is good. And I'm okay with the string being slightly flat on the intonation set up on a guitar, just because we bend strings sharp. We can't bend them flat. So if you're sharp on the intonation, the guitar is definitely going to be out of tune when a guy plays a chord. But if it's flat, you're generally going to raise the pitch of the string unless you're the most accurate guitar player in the world. So that's why I do what I do. And again, that's kind of the mojo that I talk about. So now the intonation has all been set up. And if I play the chords sound really nice. So playing every day, yeah. Oh, that's good. Dude, I knew you would be, you reminded me so much of myself when you were taking lessons, man. Just when I was a kid, that was all I did, man. I mean, I know you're doing other things, but, and it seems like what I've seen, what you shared and stuff, and your mom has shared, it seems like your dad is got a lot of guitar players around, or musicians around, and I'm so glad, dude. That's what I had. But I have a lot of really great students, and a couple of them, Andrick, dude, they give you a run for your money. And I got two young ladies taking lessons from me right now that are just fantastic guitar players, and they're very young. They're your age, so actually a little bit younger than you, but man alive, I'm really excited about these two young ladies right now. So we've got the intonation all set up. So now the last thing I'm going to do is just double check my first fret action. Again, what is first fret action? It's making sure that the action is low enough that when you fret a note at the first fret, your tuning is accurate. Meaning, you know, the F note on the treble E string is in pitch. So we'll get this treble E string perfect, and then I'm going to fret an F note. And it is always going to be a little bit sharp. There's almost nothing we can do about that. But the C is pretty dang close. This is the imperfection in having straight frets on a guitar. This is where, unfortunately, there's no way that a guitar can ever be perfectly intonated without graduated frets, is what I call them, or bent frets. I have to move this G string tuner a long ways to get the string to move. And the G string is always the one that's way out, it seems like. But that's looking good. So as you can see, the intonation at the first fret is pretty darn good. Again, this is an Ibanez Geo. This is not a Paul Reed Smith or a Gem. It's not an expensive guitar at all. I'm just checking this because there's nothing I can do to very nice. I think this thing is really well done now. I'm really happy with it. Let me see what we got going on. Malzanar, getting back into it. Yeah. Used to play a ton, but due to an illness. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Relearn how to play a little bit. Dude, good for you. My compliments. You need my help, Mike? I think Mike might have a phone call coming for you. Okay, Malzinar, good for you, man. You know, guitars are all I do and all I basically live for. So, and I also do lessons. So if you're interested in maybe learning a little bit from me, if you go to my YouTube channel and you hit that little more on my home YouTube channel, that little more button, underneath that is my email address. You have to prove that you're not a robot, and you can email me. And I do check my email often, and so I will get your message, and we can do lessons online over StreamYard, or I use Restream. I have a paid service for that, or even Facebook Messenger. I still use Messenger. I won't use Facebook anymore. I hope everybody will join me on that. Facebook is a terrible, terrible social media platform, and it's unfortunate because the world is just full of so many, number one, AI, and number two, terrible people that post such tragic things on there, on stuff that's untrue and such. So I wish everybody would get off of that platform. It's terrible, and the owner of it doesn't he does condone theft and things like that. So. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug into this amplifier, and we're going to play this thing a little bit. Now I'm going to bring the volume down on the amp quite a bit, so hopefully this isn't distorting when I'm playing this guitar, because I want to hear what it sounds like. I haven't checked the electronics, and I have not yet adjusted the pickup height. Where are you sitting flat? Sorry about the roller coaster ride there, folks. There we go. So let's see what this thing sounds like. I'm going to turn the delay off. Let me turn that down just a hair. Okay, so we're going to have to retune it. Well, no. Tone control works great. We've got to clean the volume pot. Okay, rebuilt, fixed. You get a little bit of clickety click when you're turning volume knobs or tone knobs. Just roll them like I'm doing here. Just roll them a bunch of times. The reason they get that way is because they don't get turned. I think guitar players often forget there's a volume knob, so they get done playing and they leave the volume all turned all the way up. And you end up with a bunch of noise. So you got a bunch of noise like that. You just know that you have a volume knob on there, because people don't like listening to that. That's unsolicited advice. Check the tuning again real quick. I'm going to use my snark. Now I'm going to do one more thing. So these strings are brand new on this guitar. So what I do after I've stretched them and given them the whole 9 yards, I do go through and just make some really horrendous noises, but to try and get the strings to settle into the guitar. There's no real science involved in that. Again, that's just the mojo. But you can see how much I've knocked this guitar out of tune just doing that. I found that to be a really great way to help the strings, I think, settle into the saddles and the nut to move properly. Sounding really good. So let's let me play this a little bit. Let's see, what do I want to do? So now we've got this thing holding tune really well. It sounds great. The tuning is great. I think I'm pretty close on this one. What's the last thing? Oh, let's adjust the pickup height, because I'm hearing a pretty definite imbalance in the volume of the pickups. Although this definitely has a Seymour Duncan here and probably a stock pickup here, so the output of those is not going to necessarily be matched. But let's just start with our basic ground rule for setting up pickup heights, and we'll do this real quick. I'll show you how I do this. I use my measuring tool. I don't eyeball much of anything when I'm setting up a guitar. We want 4/64ths, or I'm sorry, 4/32, right, on the bass strings, and we want 3/32. Wow, this one is dead on. Just tilt it a little bit. Your pickups will tilt, so don't let that be a big hindrance to you. It doesn't make much of a difference. Oh man,
There he is.
there's trouble.
There's the man with the plan, I tell you.
Yep, indeed. I'm just being real accurate, Matt.
I see that.
You gotta measure. Measure twice, cut once, right?
Well, you know, when you're the pro, you know, you got to do it right.
I saw a video this morning released by Dweezil Zappa.
Yeah?
You know who Dweezil is?
Yeah.
Frank's kid.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic guitar player. He owns the exact same guitar that you have.
Fender Music Master?
Exactly.
Wow.
And he said he remembers playing. It's a short scale and all that
Uh-huh.
stuff. And he said he remembered playing it back in the day. And he's like, I really love the way this pickup sounded. So he's going to bring it back into his touring arsenal, it sounds like. He's going to start using the guitar live again, which is just super cool. I thought you might enjoy hearing that.
I had some of the kids that were in my neighborhood that were like Ethan Osterloh and that play in bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And they got my guitar and they played it and they go, it's really weird because the strings are so much closer
to the neck and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's an easy guitar. Well, they're made to learn on.
The Music
They're
Masters.
learning guitars.
They are, yeah, and they were really affordable. But now, and his had the same brass pick guard or the copper colored pick, exact same guitar.
Really? Huh.
Maple neck, the
Did
whole.
you say what year it was?
He said it was either like a 58 or a 59.
Mine's a 56.
Yeah, he may have even said 55.
Mm.
I don't remember. I have to. Maybe I can send you that
I think
link.
mine was the first year they made them.
That might.
What Mallory told
Dude,
me.
that's a pretty valuable guitar, man. I know you know that, but
Well, Mike, you know, Mike told me, he said if I ever sell it, that I've got to offer it to him first.
well,
He'll never buy it. He's
no.
poor.
What you need to do is offer it to him first, and when you do that, tell Marshall. That would be a really cool guitar to have. It is so unheard of to see anybody play those. I mean, it's just they're so rare to
What's
see
this guy's
out.
name? Diesel? Diesel what?
Dweezil Zappa. It's Frank Zappa's son.
Oh, Zappa.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You probably listened to a little Zappa in
yeah,
your
I've
day.
heard it before.
Yeah.
Sure.
Weird stuff. You got to have a temperament to absorb any
I
of
have
it.
some stuff that is so good that I used to play that people didn't even know about the things that I liked.
Uh-huh.
And I'd like to say, but it really, this one record really starts out with this great big, you know, instrumental, you know, and it's really good.
Yeah.
I used to play that, and you know, and my stereo, when I had it over on 8th Street, it was in a big long apartment, and those AR-10.5s were up on the wall in the corners,
yeah.
and it sounded so good in there.
Blow up the neighborhood. Yep.
Those speakers still sound good.
Oh, yeah. Well, have you guys got a new dog yet?
Nope, don't mention it to Nancy.
It's my obligation to ask you every time I see you about that. I know how
Have you got a new
heartbroken-
cat yet?
No, he still eats too much.
Poor Fred.
Yep, I have a hard time feeding him. No, I'm joking.
We saw
He's
a
really
cat.
good-
I spotted a cat walking down Washington Street,
Oh, yeah.
and we look for cats all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And there he was, right in the bushes there, and Nancy walked right by him. I go, Nancy, there's a cat. So we stopped and looked. He was kind of hiding, trying to. When he saw us looking at him, he went and hid underneath this tree, you know, bush
Oh, yeah.
type tree.
Yeah, I haven't let Fred out of the house outside for a while. It's just too dangerous down here. I'd have to put him
Oh
in a
yeah,
cart
you
and
can't do that.
take him over to the park or something, then he'd run off.
And then
course-
he'd get away.
Yeah, if I yell at him, he stops.
Put him on a leash.
Yeah, I know.
You
know.
might try
I
that.
should do that. That's
If he
I
got
should do
used
that.
to it, then it would be all right.
yeah.
I actually have seen people walking their cats on leashes.
Yep.
Not
With
very,
him, I'd
not
have
very,
to.
You don't see it very often.
Yeah, no. All right, so that was my good buddy. That's my good buddy Matt, and he's been coming into our shop. And he and Mike, the owner of this shop, have been friends for decades. They even probably went to school together. I'm not sure, but he's such a wonderful soul. And his wife or his girl is just beautiful and just the kindest people. I'm so glad. Let's see. Wow, 2 cameras. No, I just have one today. Just one. Smilin' Bill. Everybody say hi to Smilin' Bill, one of my favorite people in the whole world, and a wonderful supporter, and we'll call him just a supporter of my YouTube channel. He's been such a great help, and he's why I play guitar, a big reason. So, let's see. And I'm just cutting the wires off this thing. What do we got, man? What do we snip. All right, so this thing's pretty much done. So we've gotten this thing all, and I've got another one that's in right now, and my journeyman is actually looking it over right now to double check and assess what we need to do with it. And it is basically the exact same guitar, only a different color. And it was one that we got in, and I did not get my hands on it before it got sold, and we didn't really do a good setup on it. I mean, regrettably, I've been so busy that getting to the new guitars that come in, we try and set up every single one. You buy a guitar like that at Guitar Center. One of their techs said, go ahead. And if you do buy a guitar from Guitar Center that's the setup is fucked up, they'll charge you to have it set up properly instead of doing it for free, at least as far as I know. Or, you know, any of the other major, anyway, small mom and pop shops are the way to go. So I got one more thing I know I have to do on this, and that is I'm going to put a little bit more oil on this first fret. I don't know how well the camera will show this, but get my coffee out of the way. You'll notice that this is a little bit dull, whereas the rest of it has linseed oil on it. I didn't. I had to sand a little bit on that first fret when I was doing the first fret action. So I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on here, tiny bit. Yep, that was way too much. And I'm gonna slide my my paper towel in here, and we're gonna go up here and wipe it around and smear it around, get some oil on this thing, and we'll see how this turns out. So if you forget to do this, oil your neck, this is a great way to do it. Gotta run this through there one more time. I gotta put a little bit more oil on that. Didn't quite get it all. It's close, but we want to do it right, regardless of how the value of the guitar. That doesn't matter. You treat every guitar like your own, and they'll all be good. There we go. There we go. It was so good to see Rune in here today and last night. He came and hung out with me while I was doing a live stream. So he's a really great guitar player, and he does some really cool stuff on his channel. So go over and see Rune if you have a chance. He's a good guy. And then also the TheFALCRO has some really wonderful, insightful live streams that he does on his channel. So be sure to check those two out. And then Independent Many United has been a mod on my channel for a long time. She is fantastic, and she has some really cool live streams also that you can actually go and participate in, whether it be on camera or behind your avatar or whatever. Let's see. Yeah. 1,850. What? Eastman 335 today. Trading lots of stuff. No cash. Good for you. Wow, D's. Yeah, I'll bet. Agreed, Bill. BCG 5150. I've got my notifications on, and I don't see everything because I'm doing live streams, but I'll check it out. And thank you for letting me know. Let me see, what was it? Then my frets and strung my ESP Floyd Rose. Oh, I had bad fret buzz. Yep. Oh God, locking nut upside down. Locking nut upside down. Let's see. How would you have your locking nut upside down? How could you do that? Please explain. That makes that's interesting. Let's see. So I have an Esquire Classic 5. Oh, 50s, cool. Already upgraded all the electronics. Wow, good for you. That seems good, but I'm looking at upgrading the bridge. Yeah. Callaham bridges. Callaham, Callaham bridges. That is what's on my my Fender. It's a '78 Fender Stratocaster. It is. I was under the impression that Jeff Beck was using them, but I was totally wrong. He has a signature Fender whammy bar. And one thing, you know, I tell you that, but also I float my I float the whammy bar, the vibrato bar, on my Strat, so I can pull up the pitch and push down on the pitch. And that Callaham bridge has been bulletproof. I've had it on my guitar for it hasn't been that long given the age of that guitar, but 2 or 3 years. It's a Callahan. I'm gonna help you with that, because dude, these guys are fantastic. You can only buy it from them because they're a small mom and pop shop, just like we are. And so you have to order it, and you have to order by phone. Believe it or not, you can't order it online. It is awesome. You actually talk to someone and order their parts. I'm gonna find a link. Callahan guitar bridges. Callahan bridges. I'm gonna post the link. Here you go. This is their catalog. And the one thing that you want to be sure of is the width. So you may want to take a tape measure on your strap that you have. It's a Squire, so they specify what their bridges are for. If you have a 6-screw or a 2-screw type pivot point, it doesn't matter if you float the bridge or not. A lot of guys lock them down. I like to have mine floating unless I'm setting up a guitar that I can do drop D stuff in, and then I lock the bridge down. But I like my bridge to float so that I've got a little bit, I can pull up on that bar and get about 3 frets of upward motion in the pitch of a note. And that's fretting a note around the 7th or 8th fret, where we spend a lot of time on a guitar. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. High part of the back and the lower end of the nut. So, oh, I got you. Had it flip. It instead of so this was the back that was supposed to be over here, and this was on the front. Yeah, I get it. Now, you know, with those things, I've had to when I've refretted guitars, they make shims for those that will fit underneath them. I'm sure you know about these parts, but you can order them for a Floyd Rose that have the set screws in the right place for whatever type of guitar you're using. I've had to do that on my own. Okay, yeah, Melzaner, yeah, thank you. And y'all be sure, you know, let me see if I can let's see, can I open, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see, if I go to, I can't, I'm going to say go to channel. Okay, so, Malzanar, car mechanic. Alright. Looks like Malzanar does some video gaming, but he's a knuckle dragging car mechanic. So go over and check out his channel. If you care to. He's not a huge channel, but go ahead and check him out. Yeah. Callahan, I loved doing business with them. They were just absolutely fantastic. So they get my vote of confidence. All right, so this thing is done, and we're gonna take a look at this other one. Let me go grab another guitar. It just came in today. It might have come in last night. So let's see what we got going with that. Oop. Alright, so I need to, give me a second, I gotta put the, I spelled his name wrong. Where's my pen? Where's my pen? There it is. I have students, I have a lot of guitar students this afternoon. I'd start teaching at 3:30 and I get done at 6, and then we may go to I may go over to the open mic tonight and play a little bit of guitar, just because I got a gig next Friday and I got to keep my chops up. It's important because I ain't getting any younger, right? So I don't think any of us are. Let me get the camera set up correctly. There we go. Hope everybody's having a really great Thursday. Mine's going good so far. All right, so got this one done. I need to write up a bill, but there we go. That one's all done. I may need to do a little bit more work on that nut, but we'll see. This one I absolutely have to get done today. So I hope I have time. I was hoping to have it done. I may have to get it done tomorrow, just given the students that I have. So here we go. Has no strings on it. Okay, so we've got bad frets. Let's.
I did tighten these.
Oh, cool.
This pickup was really loose. I tightened that up. It had the spring off.
Oh. Okay. We're going to see if I got any rock and rollers here. It looks like these were never leveled from the factory.
I think you're going to find a spot right in here somewhere. Oh, sorry, commercial.
Put that away. That'll spill all over the floor. I'm about down to the bottom of my lifelong supply of linseed oil. So what I'm doing right now is checking these levels to see if any of them are rocking. That one's a little bit tall right there, so I mean, just while I'm there, I want to tap it. Whoops. And I can see that it went down, and now the way I can see it is that a little bit of guck squeezed out the bottom of it. So now I no longer rock there. All right. Okay. This one's definitely, you can hear my rocker rocking on that thing.
I put her bag right there.
Excellent. Okay. And that's much better. So yeah, we definitely had a couple of frets that we're pulling out, I think. Like, you got to support the neck. Right?
Yeah, fix it.
Don't hit the neck when you don't have something under it. This is an Ibanez Geo, for Christ's sake. They have one of the toughest necks ever. So now, what I'm noticing is that I go down here and I get one that's unlevel fixed, the next one is unlevel. So likely, and I put my block underneath the guitar so that all you guys worried about me bending the neck, I'm not. And I'm just gonna, given I'm seeing that on a couple of these frets, I'm gonna go ahead and just go up the This is a plastic hammer,
really,
and it's brass on this side, so I can actually hit the frets with this side of the hammer if I need to, because I need some like brute force.
Good hammer.
Yep. This thing's now I'm kind of being random here, just to those springs have a nice
chime to them.
It's kind of an odd pitch. Yeah, this is a picture of quilted maple, and I mean this is an Ibanez Geo, so of course it's not a yeah, well, it could, but you'd be shocked. I think we'll all be shocked. Let's see, stop right here and see if we got any more. Alright, so I can definitely rocking, and so my journeyman was right. We definitely have to level these, but I like to do a preemptive strike so I don't have to remove
That's a brilliant idea.
a shitload of material when I don't really have to. It's because frets get pulled up out of the fret slot, and you know, if you don't have to remove material, don't remove it. That's my policy. And I'm already just doing that little bit with that hammer. Got a little bit right there. I'm gonna hit that one. Again, I know you probably can, my camera guy's not following me. He drinks a lot. I'm checking this, and I'm kind of wiggling it to see where I can hear where the fret's tall. All right, this one's tall, so we're gonna. And yes, you can put some CA glue in there and do all that. This is a brand new guitar. It was just purchased and needs some work done. Now I am still going to level these frets. I am not going to call this good, although what I'm seeing now is that because of the wood that this guitar was built out of was green when it was built, I'm assuming, because you know what assuming does. Okay, check this one again. Look at that. Every time I tap on one of these, I remove the high fret. Every single time, almost every time, and now we're really checking out to be pretty darn level. Pretty darn level. And oops, I need to turn this over. I'm so lucky to have my journeyman here, who he's one of the greatest luthiers, repair techs, amp techs in the world, and we are so lucky. And every guitar shop in the world should have a guy like him, but they won't. There's no way. But he looked at this thing and immediately knew, okay, there's some tall frets, we got to fix that. So look at that. I've gotten this thing all leveled up. I could probably put strings on this right now and it would be fine, but I'm not going to do that because this young lady has been coming to our shop for years, since she was a little tyke. And so we want to do things right for her, and we want to make this guitar perfect for her. She just got into playing electric guitars. She owns a couple of guitars that she's purchased from us here at the shop, and so we're going to do this right for her. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to level these frets. I'm going to get right on it. We're going to pull the neck off of this guitar. Oh my God!
That's brilliant. Always pull the neck if you can.
Don't use power tools on a guitar. Okay, my drill's starting to die, but the Ibanez, man, they don't mess around. Now I got to charge my battery up, so we'll do that. Yeah, but if you can take the neck off of a guitar to do a fret level on it, by all means do it. Where's my charger? Hey, nabbit, where'd my charger go? What do I do with it? Oh, there it is. My bench is really a tragic mess right now. But, you know, when you're as busy as me, it's okay. Alright, we're charging. Battery's charging. Remember to do that when your battery dies on your drill, or it'll piss you off. Okay, so, look at all that dust that came out of there. Look at that. I wonder if they use sawdust to shim this thing. Look at that.
Yeah, I've
see how much
before. Yeah, it's just manufacturing debris, and they just don't clean it up.
Yeah. We'll let you guys take a look at this. Check that out. There's enough material in there that's an actual shim. So if I remove that,
might have to do something.
we may have to do something, but I am going to get that stuff out of there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scrape it out with my razor blade. And we'll let y'all see that. This is the little stuff that we try and do here. Look at all that crap that's coming out of there. I don't know, man. I mean, that was all that material was inside this neck pocket. And it wasn't solid wood, so no. And I pulled apart American Strats, custom shop Strats that have the same stuff going on, and it could be just wood that falls out when they're putting the screws in, but this is, that's way too much.
Excessive.
Yeah, kind of, I think, a lazy day for the guys at the neck mounting shop. Oh, throwing my glasses. See how much stuff I can drop.
Make sure you have a nice spot there.
Nice place over here. Perfect. Alright, now don't step on your glasses. Alright, so TheFALCRO. No power tools. Yeah. Friday 340. That's it, man. You know it. That's what this one is. Okay, so here's another thing I'm going to do while I'm here. I'm going to remove the condoms off of the machine heads, because, you know, this stuff, if you leave this crap on the guitar, it's only going to look like crap. And not that anybody sees this, but doesn't that look nicer? I mean, maybe it's just me, but I got to get the condoms off of her. These just look terrible. And that's why I keep a little bit of a thumbnail. I don't cut them all the way off, so I can do stuff like this. And it's a pretty soft material to be scraping like stuff that's stuck on a guitar off without screwing up the whole finish or scratching it up. So now, when I flip this over, the headstock is going to hit the table, and so I've got a pretty big amount of gap underneath this guitar. So it's kind of going at an uphill trajectory. So now what I'm going to do before I level these things, let me get you pointed down here where you can see what I'm doing, is I'm going to make sure that this neck is perfectly flat, and my journeyman has already done that for me. This thing, well, let me see. It's flat on that side, but as I get over here, it starts to have a little bit of a relief. So this fingerboard, yeah, now we're starting to, oh no, okay, so I need to tighten this truss rod just a touch. Let's see how this does, see how it responds. I want this fingerboard perfectly level, so when I level the frets, the whole thing is level, so we can check all of our measurements properly. Again, I'm tightening this truss rod to straighten it, to level it out. Now I'm leveling the wood, not the frets. Boy, we're close. Don't measure on the dots either. There's almost always a discrepancy in make sure I'm turning that the right direction. This is a dual action truss rod. So just that one turn right there makes it backbowed. But over on this side it's not backbowed, so I have to split the difference. So we're going to go back up, come on, just until I feel tension on that. Look at that tiny little move. I know you couldn't see me turn that, my camera guy. I just moved this from, if I go here, we'll just leave it. neck, backbone, I'm able to push down on this end, and if I go back just to where it starts to have tension, now it's about as leveled as I can possibly get it with the imperfections that are in the neck. So now this thing's ready for leveling. So, or leveling and crowning. So let's put my new pen. Now, okay, I'm gonna do that. Let me get my tools, my proper tools. You need to buy a very expensive fret leveling file, but you gotta buy one of those blocks from that are really super expensive, because if you don't buy a very expensive leveling block, you'll never get a fingerboard level. And if you can smell my sarcasm, probably can. Blue frets to match the blue guitar body. We got to be color coordinated. The fretwork on this guitar is, I don't know, it's not that great, but it will be. Now Ibanez is not going to take this kind of time to level and crown frets and do all that, so we're adding a lot of value to this guitar to have it done by hand and not by a plec machine, and so I can see and feel the work that I'm doing, and I've done this so many times that I know what's right and what's wrong. So now I noticed on this piece of sandpaper I've got a little chunk of stuff missing off the sandpaper, so it's time for a new piece of sandpaper. And I use 220 grit, and I also have a few layers of sandpaper on my highly expensive level sanding block, right? That thing was very, very expensive. If you don't spend, you know, $95 on your 4-inch level block, you're not going to be able to level a guitar frets properly. You've got to spend that kind of money on one of those. And again, my sarcasm is going, it's out of hand today. So I'm gonna cut this. So I've got enough paper, I think. I cut it. Ooh, look at that. I got lucky. I cut it just the right length. So here we go. Again, another good use for a thumbnail. Except for that, getting this paper started off this. Okay, so here's what I like to do when I do this. It's 220 grit. See? Okay, let's. I like to try and get one side. Okay, so that side's got a little problem. So I'm gonna put it on there so that it lines up with the side of that, just like putting a piece of tape on a paint job, right? You want to be real accurate. And then I just take my razor blade. Let me see, you can see what I'm doing over here. And I just cut off the excess. Alright, pretty simple. 2 little slices, and now I've got new sandpaper on my very expensive sanding block. StuMac, it's way over. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, I do use some StuMac stuff, but I do my best because they're so expensive, man. And it's a lot like insulin was before our government, which will probably get done away with. But before our government lowered prices of insulin, it cost them $7 to make a bottle of insulin that they charged the public without insurance $350 for. Greed. It's greed. All right, we all know that. Okay, so try and keep the politics. So here we go. I'm going to start leveling this fingerboard, and I'm following the radius of the fingerboard, and So I can already see that my leveling block, my highly expensive leveling block, is actually hitting every fret dead on right now. Looks like this one might be just a tiny bit low, and this one is always low because there's usually a little bit of fall away programmed into these fingerboards. My goal here, I can see a little low spot right there, but having gone over this fingerboard first with a hammer and then checking it with my leveling block allows me to not have to do quite so much work or to remove so much material. You're not taping off the fingerboard. Nope, I'm not. Now, when I get over to these sides, I'm kind of rounding off these top edges on this because they're very sharp. I'm just getting on the side of the fingerboard here. Okay. I'm removing very little material. And at this point, I have leveled this fingerboard. That's all I need to do on this one. The preemptive strike I made by hitting the thing with a hammer and knocking all the frets that had popped out back into the fingerboard, the thing is great now. So now we need to crown these things, and I'm going to go ahead and recolor them. It's amazing, you know, you can do something like this and really turn a terrible instrument into something really nice. Doesn't take much, you know. And if you are thinking about doing this on your own guitar, I do highly recommend buying a guitar like this that's, you know, $200-300 brand new, or you can buy even, oops, look at that, I got some ink on the fingerboard. You can buy even a cheaper guitar than that and test your work on that one. Don't just jump into your $6,000 Paul Reed Smith, which if you own one, good for you. That's awesome. I have a Les Paul for sale if anybody's interested. Okay, now let's crown the frets. This is medium fret wire. So I'm going to start off with my medium. Stu Mac, look at that. These things cost over $100 a piece, I think. And we're just going to go very lightly. And I'm going over these edges to round them off. This is how I had somebody recently who obviously knows nothing about working on guitars. I did a fret level and crown, and he told me that his frets now had sharp edges on it. I dare you to make a sharp edge with that. This guy was only looking for something to complain about. It's like those keyboard ninjas on Facebook who don't know anything about what they're talking about, but yet they insult people with zero proof. And right now my edges are sharp. Impossible. Here we go. I'll try and do this quickly. It really doesn't take much. I'm using very little pressure on this file. This is 150 grit and this is 300 grit. And I'm about due for buying a new one of these. And we're just leaving a tiny little flat spot on the top of every fret. And not all of them end up with a perfectly flat surface. And believe me, I've fretted my own guitars and leveled and crowned them, and if it's not a perfectly flat surface, I don't know, I've never noticed. All right, let's see. Yeah, lots. That's a lot of following low spots on the edges. I'm not quite sure. That's just rounding off the top sharp edges of the frets to preemptively strike this. Then I don't have to use my diamond file and destroy it, rounding off the edges so that the frets feel really nice. If you're talking about when I was going over it with my rounding off these. Yeah, Ibanez didn't, they didn't make these tops of these frets very comfortable at all at the factory. And that's common on almost all affordable guitars. They don't put a lot of time and effort into fret work. It's very expensive to do, and it's a very precise work. So if you're buying a, you know, a hand build or custom shop type guitar, all of this will be done at the factory. And you're not going to have to do this much work to make a guitar feel really nice. Now, these frets are not sticking over the edge of the fingerboard. They're actually very nicely stopped at the very edge of the fingerboard. So I didn't go over and cut the fret edges like I have to do on a lot of guitars. Again, the wood that guitars are made out of these days is very green, and so it shrinks, obviously, and then the frets don't shrink, and so the frets end up become what I call cheese grater frets. You feel like a cheese grater when you run your finger down a fingerboard. Not very fun. Terribly uncomfortable. I gotta check time. Whew, look at that, my file came out of here. I've used this so much that sometimes the handle gets a little bit loose. I've got to pick the right edge. Just rolling the fret file down as I crown them. Info from, yeah, cool. Yeah, I just do that with this kind of as a preemptive strike to using the beveled edge or concaved. Is this convex? Concaved edge of the file. Now I'm going to 300 grit. Just using very light pressure. And these edges are already looking so much nicer. They're almost perfectly rounded off.
He's rolling like a wheel. I said, you needed me to do anything, you're in the way. Yeah, and he said, just, I'll let you know, he said.
And here, do you have anything that's special or any other?
And I try not to go too steep. You don't want to focus your energy in one spot, or you'll end up taking too much off, and what you can end up with is a fret or a string falling off the side of the fingerboard, which is it's terrible. Usually if that starts happening, you have to replace a fret, and that is a good policy. If you start having strings that are, you've leveled and crowned your frets and you have a string starting to fall off the side of the fingerboard, I usually would just replace the fret. I do keep some fret wire here at the shop, just some common sizes, because I do not walk on water, and I have certainly made mistakes before. I have never leveled and crowned or edged frets and had them be sharp. That is the tools that I use, it's impossible for that to happen. But I have gotten a little bit too aggressive on the edges and had to replace a fret for the reason that I just discussed. And I'm trying to watch the chat as best I can, but I'm also
Do I need to yell at him?
staying busy.
I haven't been over here to yell at you.
I miss it. What am I missing?
Well, I have a YouTube audience, so it's kind of worth it.
Yeah. There's the 13 whole people listening to you yell at me right now. Okay.
Well, all I'm going to do is slow you down, so I'll see you later.
I need some help. We have so much fun here at this shop. It's almost never any stress except for me. Oh, and also, I recently, just share a little bit of personal stuff. I recently had some blood work done, and they found some issues with my my thyroid gland. Apparently, it's hypoactive, meaning it's slow. And they also measured my vitamin D content in my blood, and it was low. It wasn't it wasn't like red low, but it was low. And so I've been asked to take some vitamin D, which I got my new pills 2 days ago, and I'm trying that. Stainless steel frets, oh dude, I don't like them at all. And feeling a lot better. Seems like it's really kind of helped mellow me out a little bit. So let's see. I'm getting some sandpaper right now. Let's see, I got some.
Okay.
Let's see, that's 400, there's some 1,000, there's some 800, there's 400, 800, 1,000.
That's good.
Let's go over this with some 400 first. And again, this is a part that you want to be really careful not to overdo it. Just get the scratches that are in the top of this from the heavy 220 grit. You just want to go over it lightly. Don't put any pressure on the sandpaper, because you don't want to sand off the flat surface that you just created with your crowning tool. And I'm also hitting the edges of the frets to get those to look nice and shiny. And you don't want to overdo this. Over sanding can destroy a really good crowning job. Really light pressure again, and just knock that flat surface, or knock the sanding marks from that heavy 220. So I'll use the 400 grit for a decent amount of time, because I want to get down to so that this is smooth as 400 grit. And even at 400 grit, you could leave it, and the frets would probably feel just fine. I've never done that. I've always used a lot higher grit sandpapers, but even at 400 grit, it would feel a whole lot better. You wouldn't be bending a note and having the string go over sandpaper marks. Alright, so there's one. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going really light again, really light pressure. In fact, no pressure, just letting the sandpaper touch the frets lightly. And nope, I didn't tape it off. Well, we'll see what happens when because I didn't tape it off, this fingerboard's going to be ruined, right? I think a Crimson guitar, they would tell you that that would be the case. I don't know. Okay, there's 400 grit. Now, I need to find a piece of 6
import stuff coming in, it's just cheap, yeah. People are finding out that's what it's got to on my end, you know. Yeah, I understand it.
6, oh geez, come on. Here's some 6. Okay, so I'm going to grab a piece of 600. I'm going to cut some sandpaper.
They insist on that, so. But, you know, a lot of times it's, you know, whatever fills the hole.
Alright. 600 grit, that's my Duragold, that's what I'm using. Works great. There's a, let me put that back. So again, I'm going to go over very lightly. 600. A lot of guys will stop at 6. I don't. I just can't bring myself to doing that. Get my razor blade out of the way before I cut myself. I'm just really light pressure. You don't want to remove too much. And after I'm done, I may have to do a little bit of work on the nut. We'll see what the first fret action's like. We want it to be perfect. This young lady really just started playing electric guitar. So I want this thing to feel just perfect for her. So it's been really fun to watch her kind of grow up over the years, having her come into the shop. I've always commented she has the most beautiful hair. I used to have really long hair too, so she's just beautiful red hair, beautiful color. All right, let's get this side. And I'm gonna go over it one more time with the 6 really lightly. And as you can see, it's a little bit fairly time consuming to do a fret level and crown just to get everything smoothed out and make it all feel good and look good. So there's our 600. Alright. Now let's just go ahead and knock the dust off the fingerboard real quick so you can see how destroyed this fingerboard is because I didn't tape it off, right? Okay, there it is. Now we're going to use some 1,000 or 800.
You know, same old weird oddball stuff that you
Again, I'm doing it really light pressure, just letting the sandpaper kind of do its work on its own. Now, I gotta say, if this was like, you know, a Gibson Les Paul or something like that, a much more expensive guitar, I would probably tape off the fingerboard. And I've certainly done plenty of those where I didn't tape off the fingerboard and nobody knows that I didn't tape off the fingerboard. So, and again, I'm hitting the sides of the frets also to smooth those out and get them to the same amount of shine that the tops and sides of the frets now have. So there's that. We don't have to go too much because each grit of sandpaper is really doing its job. So the next level of sandpaper doesn't have a whole lot of work to do. And I could certainly leave these frets right now where they are. And they would feel magnificent. But why would I do that when I got that sitting there, right? And then I got some 1500, and we're going to stop at 1500 on this one today. Alright, there we go. Again, I'm going to wipe off the fingerboard so you can see how destroyed this fingerboard is for me not taping it off. Let's see. So we're using 1000 grit now. You don't have to do this. You can stop at 600 grit and your fingerboard is going to be just fine. You know, if you're just testing your work on a cheap guitar that you bought, you're thinking about doing your own, you know, nice expensive guitar, stop at 600 grit, throw strings on it and see how it turned out. And then on your own guitar, go ahead and go to 2000, 3000 grit and really go all the way. This is again the time consuming part, and all I'm doing right now is basically making these frets look really shiny when I'm all done. Okay, and I'm going to use today I am going to use semi-chrome polish to finish these things up, to make them shine like a diamond. And then down, that famous lick by Gary or David Gilmour. Okay, getting the sides of the frets again. That's that. That's 1000 grit. Now we're gonna hit it with some 1500. And let me. Where's my razor? There's my razor blade. I do try and do my best to cut the paper nice and straight. That just keeps it organized. And let me see, I'm going to cut this in half. So I'll use half of that piece and I'll get rid of that. I got a lot of extra stuff hanging out on my bench that doesn't need to be here. And I'm terrible about that, but it's a good idea to put the cap back on your scalpel. Ask me how I know. I've said ouch a few times. Yeah, it's a lot of work to do this. And you know, if you take your guitar into a guitar shop and have this kind of work done, a lot of shops require the fingerboard to be taped off, which adds about a half an hour, because it can take that long to tape off a fingerboard. It can add a half hour of time to the work that's being done. So, and it's not a bad idea to tape it off. I'm not saying don't tape it off. Gosh, if you got the time, do it. I'm trying to keep costs down, and I'm trying to get this job done quickly so I can get this guitar back to this young lady, and there is no way anyone will know that I didn't tape off this fingerboard. Alright, so 1500, we got on one side. I'm going to hit it with the other side, and then we'll polish this fingerboard. Or polish these frets, I should say. Again, with this 1500, I'm hitting the sides of the frets, and again, I'm using no pressure at all, just letting kind of the sandpaper do its job. And thing looks really nice. I'm really happy. Alright, one more little one over. There we go. Okay, that's done. Now, look at that. I'm wiping it down with my rag, and you can see that my rag isn't hanging up in the edges of the frets. Right? Oh, but that Music Man that I worked on, the kid said that I made the edges of his frets sharp. Yeah. It's a pretty heavy imagination is what I like to say. Okay, so let's polish these up with some semi-chrome polish. I will use some other types of polishes, but this semi-chrome is just awesome. Works great. So I'm going to put a little bit on a rag here. I'm almost out. This bottle is almost out. I need to turn that amplifier off. It's sitting there buzzing. Alright, there we go. Okay, so just some semi-chrome polish. So I put a little line of it on a rag like this. Doesn't take much. This will be enough for this whole thing. Now this rag is going to look terrible when I'm all done, but this will get all of the excess ink on the sides of the frets off of it, where I haven't touched the fret with sandpaper. And I usually do 2 or 3 frets and then shift my rag to a new spot. You can see how much guck comes off of those frets. Alright, I'll just move it over. Notice my rag's not hanging up in the edge of these frets. Ibanez generally does really good fret work. I'm a huge fan of the Ibanez guitars. Even in their cheapest guitars, or most affordable guitars, I don't want to say cheap as if the guitar is junk. It's not. Okay. And again, I want to thank you all for hanging with me today and watching this. Hopefully you know, if you decide to do something like this on your own guitar, this might help you with some of the ways to do certain things. And again, I do not recommend you jump on your expensive guitar and do a fret level without having tested your tools and your techniques and stuff on something that's can get sacrificed. A lot of times, like even when I'm putting strings on a guitar, I make it look really easy, but until you do it yourself and have tried it, it's not as easy as it might seem. And a lot of my I think that for me personally, a lot of the kind of the touch and the discipline I have with this is from being a journeyman plumber, and how accurate we had to be with the work that we performed doing that job, because your work was inspected by a plumbing inspector, and mistakes were not unforgivable, but they were expensive. If you called in an inspection on a house and you didn't do something right and you have to go back and fix it, that takes you off of another job that you should be working on today to go repair something that you should have done right in the first place. So, you know, always do the dummy walk is what I say. Check everything over that you've already done, because that will save you time and effort in the end. Try not to waste any steps. You know, if you got to grab one tool out of your toolbox, think about the other tools that you need that are in your toolbox and grab those and bring them with you so you don't have to walk back out to your toolbox, right? Saves time and money. Okay. There we go. Fingerboard is leveled, crowned, and I'm going to check the hardware on this. There is. Now I'm missing. I should have grabbed this earlier. I like using a different, I don't like using this wrench necessarily for this, but it will work. Just cinching these up. So they are a little bit loose. Just a little. You want to be careful tightening these up so you don't crack the paint or the lacquer. You don't want to overdo it. There we go. Okay, I'm going to throw that rag away. And we're going to clean this fingerboard, get it back on the guitar, string it up. All right, there we go. Got my toothbrush out here already. Remember to brush your teeth. That's important. Uh-oh. Oh no. My Simple Green bottle is almost empty. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to go get another one. Look at that. You watch me do it. Now remember, if you use Simple Green to clean your fingerboard like I've just done, make sure to get all of it cleaned off of the guitar when you're done, when you wipe the instrument down or wipe the neck down, because it can potentially leave some really nasty discoloration, like drips on the back of the neck. This I don't think dripped very much, but we'll take a look. See how much crap is that came off of that? That's just from the dust and such from leveling it. Now tell me if you can tell that I didn't tape off this fingerboard. I can see there's some repair or fill work done at the factory on this piece of wood. It looks like they've used a little bit of a fill material to plug probably some imperfections. Now what I mean by that is flip the guitar over. If you were to leave these little dots on here and like this soap, you're going to end up having a little bit of a mess to clean up. Yes, you can use lighter fluid or something like that to get all the rest of it off. Like if you were to leave this little drip right here on there, that can be that can turn into something nasty. And especially if you're working on an older instrument with older finish, it can literally discolor it. So just be careful. Fair warning. Look at those frets. That looks sweet. Yeah, there's some fill work. I think, well, either that or it's just glue. There's a couple areas here, and this spot up here where I got ink on it and used my razor blade, you can't see it. So that's all the crap that I got off of the fingerboard from not taping it off, right? Pretty messy. Okay, we're going to let that dry for a moment. I'm going to take a new rag. I just went to the store the other day and got new rags. I ran out of them. Anybody going to play any music this week out live in the front of a audience? Is that going to happen?
Looking pretty.
Did I do a good job, you
did
think?
Good job. Super awesome.
Simple Green just died.
Oh, you're running out of everything.
Killed my. Yeah, I'm almost out of linseed oil. My coffee's still in good supply, though. That's the most important. Let's see. Is my battery charged? Indeed. Fully charged battery. That's all it takes. This is just a 12 volt. I don't have a big monster 18 or 20 volt because that would destroy a guitar in many cases. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay.
Looks like Jules.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
She's
such a good.
Yeah.
Customer.
Yeah. She's a special one. Special ed. Ha ha ha. I joke. We have so much fun. It's fun because we have such good relationships with so many of our customers that we can joke and have fun with each other, and nobody's really afraid of being offended or offending anyone or anything like that. It's so cool. It's kind of like what the old days were like before the internet. Oh, and before Gen X. I apologize, or yeah, Gen Z, sorry. Before Gen Z. Participation trophy. Yeah. You gotta work hard. Let's see. I hope Gen Z pulls its head out of its ass, because as a collective, it is tragic, I think. Okay, our fingerboard has dried up, and we're gonna oil this girl down. Okay. And I believe this young lady is a Gen Zer. I think so. And she has a job. She works. She goes out and has fun. She has a really wonderful boyfriend, and you know, has just made the most of life, and she's not one to go out and complain. She's super funny. You know, I think she learned from her parents, or those who she's chosen as friends, to really know that stuff doesn't just come to you because, you know, you think about it, right? You don't just get something for thinking about it. You don't get a trophy just for playing the game, all right? Okay, about ready to put new strings on this guitar. There we go. I'm getting a little bit of fibers getting stuck on some of these, but
I need to get this job done.
Is it that big Toshiba?
Yeah, right here.
Well, that's
okay. So we need to put the neck back on this. Now I may need to put, I may have to put, I'm going to leave the whammy bar on there because I'll need it eventually anyway, so let's get down here. Okay. Now I'm going to set this down to about 7 right now. Again, I don't want to over tighten one or the other. These screws are, yeah, see, I can see that. So.
Good in the hood.
There we go. And we have one full guitar. Oh, and let's make sure the
Yeah, it's been pretty nice today.
It's a beautiful day out. Sit these back against the, we'll get piling up there, but probably just get another 25 now.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll work.
most of the time I ask people if they want me to take this stuff off, but if I didn't, they wouldn't know that I did it for them. And it's little things like this that help the guitar look good when I hand it back to somebody, and I know that they're not going to have to wrestle with this shit in a year from now when they decide to take it off of there.
All right.
Because it looks...
I'll hook that up on that back in here. All right, let's see. Do you want to try and make the corner, or you want me to go back that way? Usually it's best to go back that way, but we'll have to watch those guitars.
Just be very careful.
Oh boy, you got a big one going. Hey, we're on for Friday, Richard.
You are, not me.
Oh, okay.
I've got to do this enterprise job for...
No problem.
And I figured you could definitely do it without me.
Okay.
But she's expecting you.
Okay. Now, I do recommend if you have a guitar with a whammy bar like this, that you just leave these covers off of it, because they're uncomfortable if they hit you in your stomach or on your hip bone or something like that. If you're a little guy like me, you know what that feels like, and it ain't fun. And also, if you need to make a quick adjustment, especially if you're at a gig or something, having to pull off all those screws is a real... it can delay the time that it takes to repair something that's failed. I mean, they make a guitar look nice to take a picture of it, but for practical purposes, I do not recommend leaving these covers on your instrument. Yes, they do have these slots cut in them, but let's say you break a string and you can't get the string out of the the hole. They get stuck in these quite often, just because of either the string ball is a little bit bigger than the last set of strings that you put on the guitar, or you know, whatever. There's a multitude of reasons to not put this back on a guitar. I never leave these on my guitars with a whammy bar, but that's me playing professionally. So if you don't play professionally, you don't care, and you got all the time in the world, by all means, leave it on there, because it does look kind of cool. But I usually, it shows, I'll put a sign on the back of my guitar and hold my guitar up just to show people what I'm thinking sometimes. Okay, just getting these started by hand. And this thing, I'll be able to, I should have left that off there for the time being, but I'm going to set my drill to 3, and I'm going to set it to 2, 1. Right? Never over tighten these. You wouldn't believe how many of these screws are stripped in guitars all over the world. There we go. Okay. Now, let's put some strings on this girl and see what she does. Get my, I gotta check the time. What time is it? Okay, cool. We're doing good. We're doing good on time. Hey, Mark. I'm sorry I missed you, man. I was just working away and not paying attention. Doggone it, dude. You keep sneaking in. Alright, where did my... I have not used all my 9. God damn, I've used a lot of 9-gauge strings on guitars recently. I gotta go get some. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna put Ernie Ball Slinky 9s on here, super slinkies. All right, damn, that thing, that neck looks nice. Hey Rune, hello man. Okay, let's get some stuff out of the way. All right, here we go. Again, I'm gonna leave the whammy bar attached to the guitar, just because I'll probably need to use it. This is how I put strings on a guitar. This is a good way to do it. It's quick on a Strat style guitar, or body, through the body guitar. You just want to be sure to put them in the right direction, because people will put videos of you putting them in the wrong direction, and that's their sole purpose in life, is to show every mistake you make, and rather than share all the cool stuff that you've shared with the world. The typical the way people are these days. Okay, we're almost there. We almost have a full set of strings on this thing. Hey, 5150, dinner time, 4:30 in Florida. Oh, you lucky dog. Hey, we're having Florida weather here in good old Northeast Oregon. It's beautiful outside right now. The sun's out, and we actually have the door of the shop open, whereas 3 days ago it was 15 degrees and snowing. So, have a good dinner, brother. Good to see you. Okay. And that I made a little short the other day about putting a lacquer on a Martin HD28. It is currently curing upstairs at my apartment, and it's just looking really good. I'm really happy with it. That one's, again, it's a week and a half from me being able to really sand on it and getting it done. And I can't wait to see that when it's done, because boy, unfortunately the binding peeled off of that thing. So okay, so it's looking really good. The lacquer took really well to it. Okay, well, this looks pretty good. Stretch them out and give them a little stretch. I think Velcro, man. Ahead of you. Alright, so this bar is not sitting flat, it's got some angle to it. So we're going to adjust that real quick. This has to be, unfortunately, it does have to be a floating whammy bar to actually have it. It doesn't have to be, I may have said that a little bit too assumptively, but I'm going to make it sit flat, level, instead of having some tilt to it to lock it down. I think that she'll appreciate being able to use the whammy bar in its to its fullest potential. We're getting there now. Now this portion of the bridge is sitting nice and flat. It'll continue to move. See? Man, that looks nice. So now our bridge is nice and level with the top of the guitar. So let's start the ultimate setup on this thing. Got the guitar in tune, and we're going to check the neck relief. You guys remember, I before I started leveling these frets, I made sure that the fingerboard was perfectly level, the wood. Now we're checking the neck relief. And it is approximately 8 to 9 thousandths of an inch, and I'm liking that. Let's leave that. And then our string action, where's my measuring device? We're at 5/64 and we're way too high on the treble end. So I need to tighten this down. So let's see, where's my, I think this is the correct hex key. It's a hex key, it's not an Allen key. That is the wrong size because it doesn't fit tight. Let's try this one. That's the right size, it does fit tight. We're lowering the strings on this side of the fingerboard. We have, you'll notice we've got 2 pins that we can raise and lower, and then we also have the individual saddles that we can raise and lower to make sure that we're matching the radius of the neck. So, which I haven't even checked that yet, but I want to get these saddles look really nice with regard to having enough room. Now I'm going to pull the whammy bar off of here just so that I can get it out of the way. Let's see. Independent, hello. Welcome. Thank you for doing what you do for us, here for me. Yeah, Bill. Oh, thank you, Bill. Man, if I was working on your guitar, it would be nothing different. Nothing different, man. I treat this is just a cheap, this is a very cheap, and when I say cheap, affordable, I said cheap like it's something junker. It's not a junker guitar. But this is an affordable Ibanez. And I want it to play like one of my own guitars. Now, looking really good. And the strings, they did a really great job of setting this up to follow the neck radius. So let's just let's check the tuning. And okay, I think I've got the string action. Not think, I'm certain I have the string action where I like it. Now what I can, I'm not going to do that yet. Let me just play the guitar for a moment. And I haven't checked the first fret action. Sorry you guys aren't being able to see. My camera guy is still not following me real well. Okay, now I can already, let's plug this thing in and see what she sounds like. We can kind of do a little check and make sure the electronics all work properly in this thing. Let's fire up the amp. Hopefully this isn't super loud. I don't like blowing people's heads off, and the mic is kind of sensitive. there. Oop. Oh, I got that out of the way. Almost seems like the tone pot isn't doing anything.
Oh, I didn't check it up for it tightened. It was spinning like a top.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's making any changes. If it gave you a little spin, it we might have a wire that decided to. Oh God, these guys. These guys put these control cavity covers in here way too tight. This is absolutely, you can't get this thing out of here. Okay, so I mean, it is almost impossible to get a piece of plastic to fit into a piece of wood this tight. It's disgusting to me that they would release a guitar. I have to do this. This is sad right here, and Ibanez needs to do something about this, because I can't get this. I almost scratched the guitar up trying to get this cavity cover out of here. Ooh. Okay.
Oh, you did good. Ta-da.
God. Okay, I think if this is grounding paint, let's check. I think that the tone pot is touching the grounding paint inside this cavity. We'll see if this, here, I'll set this right here so you can hear it beep. If this is grounding conductive. If it is, it's terrible grounding paint. Okay. I can see that one post of the tone pot is touching the side of the that's not. Wow, I'm gonna have to sand a little bit of a finish off of a bit of plastic off of the this doesn't have a this tone pot. I don't know. Let me turn the amp up. I want to turn the volume on the amp up a little bit to see if I'm correct in this. It just doesn't seem like the. Something funky going on there. I'm not really sure what the deal is with this electronics, and as you can see, you get into something like this and all of a sudden a little job ends up being a much bigger job, but we got to do it right. Leave no stone unturned. Dang, I wonder if this pot is yeah, that pot, something's not working there. Let's just spin the pot. think this pot's bad, Stu.
Oh, that's not good.
I think it is. I'm gonna try and. Whoop. I'm gonna try and rotate this thing. There we go. I just spun the pot about 180 degrees. I didn't lose any of the wiring. Let's see if it was grounding out against something in there. Okay. Whoop. Problem solved. You hear that? That's what a tone pot's supposed to do. I don't know what it was doing before. It might have been grounding out against the side of the cavity in there. And I checked the cavity to see if they used grounding paint, but it didn't. It's not conductive over the whole inside of the cavity, but nonetheless, problem found and problem solved. And it's cool. I love these speed knobs. I call these speed knobs, these little round-headed knobs. They're just killer. We'll put this back on there.
They do like to slide down the shaft a little too far and touch the paint, so
The
knobs like to slide onto the, and they like to
on here.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, it was pretty deep, but it's not. It wasn't touching.
Yeah, it was.
Now the tone pot works, and you know, not that any guitar player who ever lived aside from Joe Bonamassa touched their tone pot, but I just gotta say, now we know it works. Okay, so we're getting close here to having this thing all done, and so we got it leveled, crowned. So we got pickup height. So let's check our pickup height. And then we'll check intonation. Our string action looks really nice. We'll just go ahead and set our pickup height now because nothing I do from this point forward is going to change that. Although, I'm going to check this. Oh! Yeah, no, we are going to do something else. We got to do we got to check that first fret action. It's not right. But before I do that, we're going to intonate this thing. Okay. There's my Peterson. A lot of stuff, right? Because we want this young lady to have a perfect guitar when she gets it home. And obviously she didn't spend a ton of money on this thing like some of us have on very, very expensive guitars. Too expensive. Oh, let me get you over here where you can see what I'm doing here. We gotta go through this whole, getting 2 of these done. You see that low E string is way too sharp. So, oh, and I didn't take the string tension off of it, but I'm doing it right now while I'm turning the screw. I could tell I needed to move that one a long ways. Wow.
Grand stereo music is stuff. Okay, okay.
Still a little bit sharp.
Yeah. Let me take the phone out to the shop for our guy out there. All right.
I need a drink of coffee. Sneaking up on my lunchtime. I want to get this done before I have to go to lunch. Let's see. And the Yeah. WD word 40, yeah. Big smile, yeah. God. Yep. You know, and that comment that you just made about lube, while I'm in there, why don't I still a little bit sharp. I've got the back of this thing open, so I am going to, thank you for the reminder, I'm going to lube up the pots. Now I have moved this E saddle a lot. And it has not changed the intonation at all. I mean, I have moved this saddle a lot, and the intonation is not changing. And I may end up having to cut that spring. Come on, be in. I don't want to have to. You guys have been watching me do this. There we go. I'm gonna call that good on the low E string. These should all be fairly sharp now. Okay, so I'm gonna move all of these saddles. It's I'm almost certain that all they did at the factory was just look at them and tried to set them in a close proximity to where they should be. Actually, probably did not ever have an actual tuner placed on the instrument. I'm guessing. And I can just tell by the way these are shaped and how you should try and set the intonation up on an instrument. And given that the E string was so far out, and I might be wasting my time here, but I don't think these saddles were, I don't think this instrument was ever truly intonated. Okay. Now the reason this is not staying in tune real well is because it's a floating vibrato. Not a tremolo, it's a vibrato. I've been guilty calling it a tremolo bar. It's not a tremolo bar. Boy, I don't know. Okay. The A is getting close. I wonder if my tuner is just not hearing that low E string properly. And it's not an input jack. A little bit sharp. So that move that I made to move all of the saddles was actually a pretty good decision. Because the nut is definitely straight, so and forgive me, I haven't looked at the chat at all. In a minute, I gotta try and get this. There we go. There we go. We're a little bit flat. I'm gonna bring that one back. Just a tiny little bit. When you're doing this with a floating trim, you got to be really careful not to rest your hand on the guitar at all, because it will change the I'm going to bring that one back just a hair. And we're about ready to crank this thing. I've got to do the first fret action though still. I wasn't planning on doing this this much work on this live stream, but heck, I'm doing it. Might as well. I'll take a look at the chat here in a moment. Here we go. I think this thing is starting to play like a guitar. All right, so let's take care of a couple things. Definitely here, we have this body cover that is way too tight, and it's a beveled edge, so this should be fairly easy to make. You know, here's the deal. Always think about the next guy who's got to work on something. I don't care if you're a dentist or a fucking heart surgeon or a plumber or an electrician. The next guy who has to work on that thing, let's just help his life a little bit, help his job be a little bit easier. If we had more people trained, I think, in our communities to think that way, we probably have a lot smoother operating planet, right? But you know, I just know that because being a plumber, I've always behaved that way and worked with that approach, because usually the guy that had to work on it next because somebody did something wrong was me. So always think about it when you're working on something to do stuff like this. The owner of this guitar is never gonna know about me doing this unless she happens to watch the video. But the poor bastard who has to work on this next time, he is gonna be so grateful. And that poor bastard is gonna be me, guaranteed. Kind of cool that Ibanez they beveled this edge to the inside, so it's under beveled. So making this smaller is actually not a big deal. Making it fit so that somebody can take it, put it in and out.
Yeah, they used to make them where they butted up against the underneath the back cover plate for the springs, and you could actually pop it off from there. But a lot of these other ones are inset and all the way around, and they're tighter than a darn vise.
Yeah. So now,
oh, much better.
Yeah. So now that fits in there nicely. I didn't have to put pressure on it, and I think that I've taken enough material off of this that if I have to do it with a razor blade, that's fine. But the way it was stuck in there before, that's just kind of ridiculous for a technical aspect of it, because of course immediately we had to get in the interior of it. And oh, before I do this, I said I was going to do something else, and this is probably 100% unnecessary, but let's just do it. We're going to use a little bit of lube in this thing to just preventative maintenance. Tiny little shot and another tiny little shot. That's it. And I'm going to roll these a little bit just to, alright, just a tiny little shot of lube. Oh geez, and that already made these feel better. They move very nicely now. Oh yeah. Gosh, that's amazing. Whoo-wee. This is going to be a sweet guitar when it's all said and done. And it's an Ibanez Geo. Where's... I set that... crap. Oh, there it is. I tried to hide my screwdriver from myself, and I was very successful. There we go. Okay. Go the extra mile. Go the extra mile. Be loyal to your customers, and you'll have a customer for life. Okay, so now we've got to do a little bit of work on the first fret action, which is what this whole stream started out about. So now we'll get to see what I do to make the first fret action accurate. And so I'm going to do the 16 thousandths. So every fret, that's every string. Every string is way too is too high. So we're gonna have our we're gonna start with the low E string, and we'll work our way across the fingerboard until we got these first fret action right. The really long nut. Look at how wide this nut is. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some material off the back edge of this and file it at a downhill direction, right? And then I'm going to start working on the string first fret height. I don't know what kind of nut this is. I think it's graphite. And I've got the snark on there. Still too high. So this is what I mean about first fret action. It's the amount you have to push down on these strings to create a note on this first fret. If you're up way too high, your whole intonation of your instrument can be wrong. Almost there. Having a proper set of nut files is imperative for doing this job correctly. Now what I like to do is you can hear the pitch of the string change each time I make it getting close. You don't want to go too far with this. If you go too far, you've gone too far. Let's see. 9, 11, what is that? 36, 32. Oh, 32. Four. Just sneak up on it. Go really slowly. Small moves. Almost there. Ah, there it is. There we go. This is how you get your first fret action absolutely accurate. 16. Where's my 16? Got a 26. I had a 16. There we go. 16. Now with these G, B, and E strings, I like to have the note fret I'm going to give that one more little cut here. Just a tiny little. Alright, just that little bit.
Well, that'll be alright. We'll just turn you over to this young man when he's not busy.
Hey, Marshall.
What do we have?
Hey,
Oh.
how are ya?
She talked to Mike today about buying a stereo from him.
Okay.
For her home, or
Yeah.
for her people.
Okay.
Get this phone and then help this gentleman.
Okay.
I can come back. You guys.
No, that's all right. Hang on. Actually, just give me a second. I
Yeah.
got 2 more of these to
And I
do.
got my turntable in the
I'm
car.
good.
So
Oh, excellent.
I can
Okay.
bring it in too.
Yeah, bring it on in. You got that'll let us get that.
Yeah, the
Stylus, right.
Yeah.
We didn't
I'll
check it out
I'll
yet.
run to you a spank real quick, and I'll be right back over.
Sweet. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, they were trying to get you to pay, and they were trying to get you to pay, and I said, well, no, that's not right. You know, both speakers failed, and so that's what he's throwing at them and seeing. what
Now
they
the
come
first
back
fret
with.
action on this guitar
We're
is
doing the
proper.
dance, but
Now, when we play this thing, I'm going to tune it back up and
all right, I'll let
see
you know.
how she sounds. Here. All right, and I'm about done for the day because I've got another client here who we're going to put a home audio system in her home for her, and she's decided on a system. And
Where'd she go? Did she leave?
let's see what this guitar is sounding like. I want to tune it. Yeah, now we're talking like a guitar. Yeah, I like it. I'm sorry if that's distorting in your headphones or whatever. It's amazing the terrible sounds you can make with a guitar. guitar off of here, and I hit it really, really well. Put it right where I wouldn't lose it. Because, you know, I tried to lose it. I would have been right in front of my face, but no. So let's see how the whammy bar works on this thing. I haven't even tried it yet. I hope that, well, it's got a lot of threads, and it just bottoms out. The guitar's going out of tune a little bit using the whammy bar. It just needs to settle in a little bit. So there you go. That's how I do it. I have a couple other things I'm going to do on this thing, but I've got to get to go help my other client that's here. So I want to again say thank you to everybody for joining me today. Hopefully I shared some information with you that you may have learned something, or if you have to fix something on your own guitar, that you can use this. If you feel like you did learn something and would like to reward me in some way, Venmo, PayPal, all work. They're in the description of the video. And again, thank you all for your input and your information, and hopefully some of you had some good conversations in the chat and maybe got to veg out a little bit while I was working on this guitar. So again, thank you all for being here. Bill, thank you. I will do that. Falcro, thank you. Joe, great to see you. Rune, thank you for hanging with me today. Independent, many united. Peace, y'all. Take it easy. Thanks for being here.